Hey everybody, happy Monday. Tonight we are finally getting back to cover Roundtable, and I apologize because this month has been crazy busy. My babies were sick and then I wasn't feeling the best, and so I think there's just a bug or something going around. But also this month is my wedding month. So I'm actually getting married at the end of the month on the 30th. So yeah, it's just been good. Today we I'll let him know what we do. Uh, we always put out a brief talk about.
Can't hear you. You're cutting out.
Oh, okay. Somebody's mowing their lawn outside, right outside my window, so it's kind of loud. Can you hear me out?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just share with our audience that we kind of put a disclaimer out so that way people know that sometimes what we talk about can be triggering, and we have to just let them know it's okay if they want to leave, and then if they feel like they need some additional support, then they can always reach out to myself. Or, there's a lot of people out there that support us. So I always like to there always before we get started. I'll let you know, and then we'll be back.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
What's that?
It kind of sounds like there's like static in the background, in your background. It's quiet. Yeah, there you go.
Is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
So does that sound better, everybody?
mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so I'll let you introduce yourself, and then after that, we'll just do a quick prayer like we usually do, and then we'll let you take the mic from there. Sound good?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
My name is Ansel Whitego Jr. Uh, straight out of Bullhead, South Dakota. Born and raised. Um, my sobriety date is 1/26/20. I have a home group called Sit ND. If you guys are ever in Bismarck, North Dakota, you guys could join us every Sunday night at 8:30. I'm the chair of that home group.
Right now.
Um, I have a sponsor. I have a grand sponsor. They know they're my sponsors. They put up with me. Um, but other than that, I'm a sponsor. I sponsor guys. I got two people through the book, and I'm working with two right now. So I do sponsor guys in the program, and that's about it for my introduction.
Awesome. All right. So before we get started with what you're going to share with us today, we just like to say a quick prayer, and I always give the option, for my guests if they feel comfortable saying our prayer, or if you want me to say it. I always like to give that option, but I think you're older than me, so just kidding.
Well, yeah, I could.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm just going to start it off with the set aside prayer, one we always use before we start a meeting.
Yep, that's good.
All right. God, help me to set aside everything I think I know about you, everything I think I know about myself and others, and everything I think I know about my life and my recovery. Also, that I may have a new experience in you, a new experience in myself and others, and a much needed new experience in life and my recovery. Amen.
Amen. That was good. Appreciate that. Alrighty, so I will let you take the mic, and then what I always share with my guests also is that you feel free to go back as far as you want, to share as much detailed information as you want, as much as you feel comfortable with, so just so that other people, I guess the point of these shows are to let other people know that they're not alone. There's a lot of events that happen, in people's journeys, and you know, we want them to know that they're not alone and there's hope, right? So I'll let you take the mic. Here you go. Here's the mic.
All right. Well, to get started, I was born. To my parents, Ansel and Wanda Whitego. I don't know if they're listening tonight, but I kind of just kept this in a last minute deal too. So I just hope it was just be us guys. No, I'm just kidding. But I am kind of nervous. I usually don't feel nervous during these. I mean, I'm always nervous. But it gives me a chance to give back what was so freely given to me. Um, I grew up in Bullhead with 7 brothers, 2 sisters. Life was good. I mean, my mom and dad did what they could with us. I mean, growing up with a lot of siblings. Growing up, because I grew up with a lot of family, a lot of relatives. I mean, everything was. Just growing up as a boy too. It was fun. We jumped creeks, we went spear fishing, we went fishing, camping, all that good stuff. I mean, it was, my childhood wasn't really that bad. It was just as time progressed, when I started getting older, I mean, I was my grandmother, she's passed away, but I was really active in church when I was younger. Made my first communion. I was an altar boy, all that good stuff too. I mean, at the Catholic Church there in Bullhead, South Dakota. I would like to say I was the bright one out of our family, but also the worst one, if that makes any sense. Because my 2 older brothers, I didn't find out they weren't my older brothers until I got later on in life, maybe about 12, 13 years old. But from me on down, it's me. I mean, they're all my siblings, my real brothers and sisters, I used to call them. But I never treated my older brothers any differently than my siblings, because that's just how we were raised. And my dad, like I said, my dad did his best by taking them in and doing what he could with them too. But they're both gone today due to alcohol and drugs. So let's get into it, huh?
Yeah.
I think my first experience with alcohol was probably, I mean, when I first come into the program too, I used to just coming in, I was really I was up in the air about who I was, because I thought it was all about bragging, who did this, who did that, about fighting, about all that stuff that are the results of drinking, and who goes to jail, and I mean, I thought it was fun, just growing up that way, and coming into the program, I had a really strong character that how should I say this? That I made for myself. I mean, whether it was drinking in the bars, whatever. I mean, everything. I did it all. I mean, it's not my place to like I said, these are just all the results of drinking. But like I said, my first drink for I remember too, because it's my uncle, he's passed away now, but we went fishing at the point down there by Mobridge, and I was young, maybe 13, 14, during McGoffin Paul too. I remember it clearly, because we were down there, and he's like, I mean, he was always an enabler for me. He was, I mean, but in a good way. I mean, I was young. I mean, I had a lot of first time experiences with him when it came to alcohol, smoking weed, all that good stuff. And I mean, believe me, I tried huffing. I did it all. I mean, I huffed some spray paint. Started off with some whiteout. That wasn't good enough. I wasn't doing the trick. So jump up to some fingernail polish. Shit, that wasn't doing it either. So jump up to the glue, to the gas, to the spray paint, all that good stuff. I mean, I never made a habit of it, because I didn't like the feeling. I didn't like the feeling of it at all. but I did have my fair share and experiencing with it. And like I said, my uncle, we went fishing, and he was like, "All right, well, if you catch a fish, you could have a beer." And I thought that was cool because it was just me and him and my aunt. So yeah, I caught a fish. He'll give me a beer. Started off with a beer, and it's a couple beers, and right away, I mean, I felt that it was a different taste, but I did not, because I was young. I didn't know what alcohol did and the effects of it and how much impact it was going to have on my life later on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it started off with a couple beers. Then he had a big old cup of lemon lime lizard, and I'm like, he had a straw in it too with some ice. So that's how I was drinking my liquor. Man, not even when that cup was over, I was shit faced. I was drunk, and I remember, like I said, I we left there. We got done fishing. We just called it a day too because I was drunk and I was young, and I guess they were more worried about me getting in trouble.
Yeah.
But we went to McLaughlin, and we drove through there, and here we got pulled over. And I remember I was laying in the back, so my aunt was like, "Pass out." So I was like, I laid down. I could hear that cop have his flashlight. What's wrong with him? And I picked him up like that. Holy shit! Just then I started throwing up.
Oh.
Damn, it was a wicked first experience. But that whole back seat, I was laying in puke. I just laid there too, and that cop was just like, "Get him home, take him home." So, anyways, that was kind of what my first experience with alcohol looked like, and it was, I don't know, it was something I never had the chance. I mean, alcohol for me at that point, I really didn't care about it at that time because I got to experience it, but later on, I started experiencing with weed. I mean, like I said, I grew up with a class of 25 with all my relatives, and we were all competitive, especially when it came to us males.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a really good basketball team. So we were going everywhere. We're winning basketball games, and it was fun. But growing up, I mean, you got to try to find your spot in where you're at, and in any community, I guess I should say. As for Bullhead, I mean, God's country. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah.
But but yeah, it was fun. Like I said, I grew up with the class of 25, and probably out of that 25, there's probably only half of us left. I mean, they all died from the results of alcohol too, in their own ways. But growing up, like I said, until I was kind of just up and down all throughout my teens. When I graduated from eighth grade, that was the next chance I had an opportunity to drink. My older brother, he bought us some booze, and yeah, we had our experience with it. Got chased around by the cops, all that good stuff. I mean, believe me, I mean, I had my fair share with BIA down there. It was funny at the time, but now that I really think about it, I mean, I was more pissed off at them for throwing me in jail all the time. But it was all me. It was all me. But yeah, after my eighth grade graduation, we had that. Like I said, we had a party. My brother bought for us. It was fun. And at this point, my experience with alcohol was an experience. I started going to high school. I lost an aunt when I was 16 years old. We were like brother and sister. I mean, we grew up together. We were the same age, but she died from the results of drinking too. One day, I was going to Fort Yates to pick up some weed, and I pulled out of my mom's house, and I was going up the road, and she comes running out of nowhere, and she stops me. And I mean, all my life I tried to justify it. If I would have just went by, she would still be here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I stopped, and she said, "Let me come with you." And I'm like, just stay home. I'm going after some weed. So I let her come with me. And when we got to 48, she started drinking with my older brother, and all 10 o'clock, she said, "Well, let's chill till 10." So my brother talked me into it. Yeah, we could sit till 10. 10 o'clock came around, turned into midnight. Midnight turned into 3 or 4 in the morning. But by that time, she was she was pretty drunk and staggering all over, loud, and hanging all over some guy. So my brother said, "You want me to go get her?" I said, "Yeah." So we can head out. But I remember this real clear, and before coming into AA, I mean, I couldn't even mention her name. I couldn't even talk about anything because that's how hurt I was. I would pause. I mean, I couldn't say nothing.
Mm.
But being, I mean, working a solid program and having the opportunity to do a 4-step and let that all go, it's really was vital for me in my recovery because that's when everything opened up for me. But she fell over. She fell down. My brother went after her, pulled her from this guy, and she staggers back and hits her head. Loudest pop I ever heard in the whole. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but it was the loudest pop. Boom, and it was just she just jumped up like nothing happened. And I'm like, let's go. I mean, we're going now. So we got her in a car and all the way home. She was just, I mean, like I said, we were like brother and sister. So she was kind of, you party pooper. Just let me drink, let me enjoy myself, all this and that. And I was like, nope, we're going home. You don't even know how to have fun, this and that. And I was like, yeah, because I mean, I was sober. But but I let her drink that night, and like I said, all my life I had to live with that because later on that morning we got back. I was working for the summer youth program, so we got back and we got home and one of my cousins was with me too when this all happened. Anyways, I was gonna pull into the house. She said stop, so I stopped. She started throwing up nonstop. She couldn't stop, and just like that, maybe about a couple minutes. And she stopped and put her head back in the car. And I'm like, you ready? And she's like, yeah. So I pulled in. It was just right there. The house was just right there, not even a block. So I pulled in and she was passed out already. So I was like, you're just faking. Get your ass up, you know? I mean, because that's what I thought. Because she was sure biting my head off all the way home, you know, saying stuff. But she wouldn't get up. So I went inside and faced the music. I talked to my mom and I talked to my dad and I talked to my grandma and I told her, I said, she's drunk. So I asked my dad to come out and help me carry her in. So he did. We went outside, we took her off the car, we carried her in and we laid her down. And I jumped in the shower and got ready for work because I was working for the summer youth program that time. And I had to be at work by 8. But anyways, the only reason why I share this story too is because grief. I know how big grief is in I mean, especially on the Standing Rock Indian Reservation. I grew up there. I mean, I lived it all these years, and this was my experience that happened to me personally, and I used it to drink and uncontrollably and blame everybody else for how I was. But about 12 o'clock noon, I got one of my cousins ran to the door and he said, they want you over there at your mom's house. And I'm like, for what? And he said, I think Candace is dead. And I'm like, all right. I mean, that was her name. I'm sure she's happy for me. I'm sure she's happy and proud of where I'm at today. But I went back and there was cops there and I pushed myself in the room. And I grabbed her, and here she was all she was still laying how we laid her down, but I grabbed her, and she was all stiff already. And I'm like, damn. And I just started crying. I mean, I was just so heartbroken. But the feds, everything was there. They came and they questioned me. They asked what happened, and I told them. I mean, I told them everything what happened, and they took her for an autopsy, and it came back. She died from a massive blow to the head and choking on her own vomit. So that was that. And I was learning how to deal with it with my grandmother, her mom, my grandma, she's passed away too, but she was helping me deal with it. And everything was going good. And I started drinking. I wasn't drinking heavily, but I was drinking on and off. And pretty soon, I mean, I was still going to school. My mom, bless my mom, she when I was out drinking, she would come find me every morning and you're going to school. She didn't care if I was drunk or not, because I wasn't 18. She said, "You're as long as you're not. I mean, until you turn 18, I mean, I'm still your mother."
Mm.
So she really pushed me to finish school, and I'm really thankful for that because I'm the first one out of our family to graduate from high school. I graduated from Macintosh, of course, not McLaughlin, but
Aren't you
but yeah.
salty? You're just
So
salty.
yeah, um, but um, but I whenever whenever this all happened, I was so hurt, and I was really good at hiding my pain and how I felt. So I met a lady um, right away. I mean, I just because I didn't want my mom and them to see how I was doing, I moved out. I moved in with her,
Mm.
and and I mean, I put my family through so much stuff, man. I mean, it is. I never thought that I would be able to talk about it ever. So I had a son at 16, 17 years old, thinking that was going to change everything and save my life and all that, but it hasn't. I just got worse because when my son was born, I partied. I do what I do. I drank when he was born, and he was named after me, so that even made it better.
Mm.
Yeah, so like I said, I used everyone and everybody around me to satisfy my needs. But as time progressed, my teens, I I got hooked on prescription drugs at 17, 18 years old. Um, Percocets, hydrocodones, morphine, Darbsats. I did them all. But I cut my hand, and it's still like that. Could very I was took the cop for a good run. Cops are all over me, BIA. But there used to be an old gym in Bullhead. Anyways, I took off and I ran around this corner, and here I ran straight off the steps. So my hand went right into a steel door. And that's how I got prescribed my meds. But I pulled my hand out, and here it just tore my whole hand up. So I was in surgery for 11 hours that time when that happened. And things when I was going to when they were taking me in the ambulance, the cops came and they were trying to BIA came and they were trying to take me because I was underage and I was drunk.
Mm.
But the paramedics didn't let them take me because it was serious.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to Bismarck. The doctor that repaired my hand. I mean, she's a well-known doctor now here in Bismarck. Her name's Dr. Honeycutt, I think her name is. But she fixed my hand. She said I could have just cut your fingers off. She said, but I thought I'd try to save them, and she did. I mean, did really. I mean, at least I could still use them.
Yeah.
But that's how I got prescribed my painkillers, and for maybe about a year I was on painkillers, and because I was on painkillers, I was sober. I was sober from drinking alcohol. I thought I was sober, but I wasn't. I was still high.
Mm-hmm.
But I was only popping them until I found out I can smash them up. You know, I mean that was a big thing back in the day. You could smash your pills. When I found that out, shit, that's where they all went up the nose. That's why my nose is kind of the way it is. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. but yeah, it was a trip. Um, when I got drunk, I don't know if you guys can see this, but these are cigarette burns on my arm. That's my aunt's name, Candace Fox. When I would get drunk, I would just sit there and boom, 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 just burn it, and then it took that about a year. That's Candace Fox with a cross on her.
Mm.
That's how hurt I was. Every time I felt that pain, I would just take it out on myself. But I did that with cigarettes. Every time I got drunk, it got deeper and deeper, and I just cried and I cried. I cried all alone, and then I didn't let nobody know how I felt. But as time progressed, like I said, I had my fair share with opiates. I got cut off because I started abusing them. I was trading them for meth. Drugs is a huge part of my story, but alcohol is my cup of tea because I'm an alcoholic, man. I mean, I'm down for whatever. But as I got older, when I turned 21, my first time to go in a bar, shit, I thought it was a good thing, even though I was already in the bars at 17, 18 years old. One of my good drinking buddies said I was her son, so she got me in the bar early. But when it did came time, I mean, that's when all the manipulation came in with women, the cheating, the lies, the betrayal, everything that comes with alcohol. Um, I was a big fan of the corner bar in Club 121 right there in McLaughlin, South Dakota. Um, I like to say Macintosh Bar was my peaceful spot, but it wasn't. It was just another a drinking hole with all my buddies. That's where I would go to get away. But my first experience with meth was at 19, 20. It was on a foils. Boom. Old school. We didn't have the pizzas. We didn't have all the glass stuff they have today. But I got so high that my hair was just moving around like Medusa. I felt like I was scared. I was scared. I was really scared, but at the same time, I was feeling really good. Yeah. And it was my first. It was my first time. So my brother said, just relax. I mean, don't get all pumped up. He said, just relax. So I was like, all right, do some more. And I'm like, shit, the hell is that supposed to do, you know? But yeah, and meth. It wasn't. I love the effects with it, but at that time it wasn't really around all over the damn place. So it will pop up every now and then, and I would try it. I mean, I had a lot of friends that were into this stuff, so my experience with it was 3, 4, or 5 days at a time when they would come around, and for some reason I would find them. I see them coming out. I just involve myself in everything, you know. But all through my 20s, I was reckless. I was by this time I was full of anger, full of fear. I had my fair share with treatment. I went to treatment 4 times prior to this last time, right there at chemical prevention. I seen a guy on here about a month ago. I was in treatment with him, but it was outpatient. So there was times when the first 2, 3 times I didn't want it. I was just doing it to get it down in black and white. I would go and I would be getting high all the way up there. I had my own car, so I'd be driving up there every morning, but I would be doing pills and just getting high all the way up there. And then at noon, I would sit there and think about it, but I wasn't doing a deal. I was just doing it to get it down in black and white. But as time progressed, everything got worse. I mean, I was in and out of jail. My first time I went to jail was when I was 17, but all after that, I was in and out of jail because of drinking and raising hell, DUIs. I didn't get no DUIs until my late 30s, but that's nothing. It's not nothing to be proud of. But life was always, for me, it was. I wanted everything done my way. I wanted control of everything of my life and how things turned out, or who I wanted at my parties. I mean, I wanted to be the light of the party. I hurt a lot of people in my lifetime down there, and that's why I was kind of afraid to come on here, because people are gonna get to hear my truth, you know, and I never. I mean, I don't talk about my recovery to a lot of people, so a lot of people are going to know that I am in recovery now, because I was hit with a federal indictment a couple of years ago, but we'll get to that. So I was, like I said, all through my 20s, up and down, out of control. like I said, the lies, the cheating, nothing, it never stopped. I like to say that I was sneaky about everything, but I mean, it's a small world. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everything.
Right.
And by the time it gets back to you, it's bigger than it was. So, and Rock Creek was always my comfort zone because I knew it like the back of my hand. I knew the creek. So if I was gonna raise hell or get in any kind of trouble, it was gonna be right there in Rock Creek because if the cops came, there's only one way in or two ways in, but you could see both ways. And my way was hit the river, hit the big hill. You're gone, and just sit up there and watch them. But I used to think that was
I mean,
cool.
he's
I used to think that was cool. Just teasing BIA and let them chase you and not even fast, you know. I was just messing with them. But yeah, I mean, when I really think about it, I put myself in a lot of danger, you know.
yeah.
But I was that kind of alcoholic that as time progressed, I started getting more mean. I started getting more violent. I didn't give a shit about anybody or anybody else. I mean, anybody but myself.
Mm.
And it only got worse because how I started to feel up to that point. I mean, I lost numerous aunts, uncles up to this point. And every time somebody died, instead of, I would go pay my respects, but right after that, I would drink. I would celebrate them being dead. I mean, I thought that was the way, but like I said, I always paid my respect. I always was a respectful person. I mean, my mom, like I said, she raised us all us boys to cook, clean, manners, respect, take care of yourself, all that good stuff, because she always told us, I mean, you never know, you might run into a lazy ass woman, you know? So that's why she she taught us how to cook and clean, if I'm being honest, you know? So to provide and take care of ourselves as men. And then that's just the way it's always been for me. But over the years I was disconnected from God, my higher power. Oh yeah, I want to back up a little bit. I want to share a story because when I was me and five of my cousins, we were drinking one night, and we were drunk. We were drinking Scotia's, Lord Calvert, and here we were running out of booze, and I was like, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Anyways, we started making our way from the last street on Bullhead all the way back up towards the first street, and when we were sitting there, a big old owl flew up right in front of us, and here we are throwing bottles and trying to hit it with the potatoes and all that stuff. Anyways, we left. We started walking, and I blanked out. I mean, I remember I blanked out, and I came through, and we were walking up the middle street, and here that owl. This I don't know if it was the same owl, but came up again, and I'm like, where the hell are we going, you guys? But I remember. I mean, I shared a story too because I think this was the beginning of I mean, like I said, I was active in church with my grandma Josie, but after this, I kind of just pushed it away because I was taught to go to church every Sunday and confess your sins and all that stuff. But after this, I never did because I came through and I was halfway through a window. It was a real skinny window, and I'm like, I came through, and then I already planted my feet, and I looked around, and I'm like, damn! I looked, and I seen the big Mary on a wall over there, and I'm like, damn, we're in a church.
Oh.
And I see my bros run by, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? So what the hell are we doing in here? And it's like, we're looking for that. We're looking for the wine. I was like, shit. And like I said, I was an altar boy, so I knew where it was at. So I was like, well, you guys hold on. I mean, we didn't vandalize the place or nothing. We just wanted that specific jug.
Mm.
So I went and I grabbed it, and I was like, damn, man. I mean, we left. I said, let's go. We jumped out the same window we came in, and right away, my instant thought was, shit, I'm going to hell for sure for this. That was my thought when that all happened. And we left, and we were sitting on top of the hill there in Bullhead, and I mean, I woke up. I was the first one up. I mean, this was probably about 2, 3 in the morning already, and I woke up and it was daybreak. Probably sat there for a couple hours, but that wine was still there. We didn't even drink it up. And I'm like,
Mhm.
why the hell did we do all that for what?
Yeah.
And that's the first thought that came to my head again too. I mean, I'm going to hell, man, for sure. And after that, I never did go back to church.
Mm.
But like I said, that was kind of some that really stuck with me too, because I know how my godmother felt about things like that. I mean, like I said, she was the one that took me to church every Sunday, so I was really trying to be a goody goody all my life, but I took a turn for the worse. Like, I mean, in my experience. So, like I said, all through my 20s, I was up and down, in and out of jail. I was I was in a lot of fights. Which I'm not proud of. I hurt a lot of people. Um, I hurt my brothers. I fought with all my brothers, and it was to a point where it wasn't even funny anymore.
Mm.
And my family, uh, I come from a big family on my mom's side. I mean, I'm practically related to everybody down there on my mom's side. But I just I was that guy that he's coming, lock the doors. I mean, I was that guy.
Mm.
So and I used to think that was a good thing. Everybody was scared of me. I mean, I like I said, I really built a strong character through alcohol and drugs, and I thought it was a good thing. But as time progressed, um, all through my 20s, I mean, there were spurts of sobriety. I mean, I sobered up here and there, but my whole my whole life revolved around drinking. I mean, whether it was playing horseshoes, branding. I worked too. I mean, I worked for the Buffalo Ranch down there, and the land and livestock down there in Rock Creek. Uh, I worked Perry nights. I mean, I'm a mechanic. I love to work on cars. I was always busy, but still, when I'm that kind of alcoholic that would just save up money too. I would save up money, and then when that time came, it just the simplest thing to start a fight too and be gone. You know,
Oh,
we
yeah.
would go to the we would go to the casino, and like they would all be gambling, and I'm like, shit. I'll walk by the bar a couple of times, and one of my buddies, he's gone now, but we would always meet up at the Grand River Casino, and boom, I would just start in with him without even a hesitation and leave and go down to T Town and party all over T Town and that good, you know. But like I said, I used to think that was all fun and games.
Yeah.
But and life life was, I used to, like I said, I used to blame everybody for how I felt, what I felt. I mean, if you called me an alcoholic then, I would go and do alcoholic things. I
Mm.
would walk away, and that's my validation to go get drunk and act up and do all this nonsense that happens when you're drinking. But that's not what makes me an alcoholic. When I drink, I can't stop. When I take a shot of alcohol or any kind of alcohol, to me, I used to think that was because I like to party.
Yeah.
And when I would take a shot, that first one's just a warm one, but boom, I like the full effect. So I would just be slamming and longest cake stands, all that stuff. I always, like I said, I wanted it all. But I did not know that that was the phenomenon of craving, they call it in the Alcoholics Anonymous, and the mental obsession is like I said, my whole life was revolved around drinking when it came to, like I said, horseshoes, fishing, anything that I would do, everything that involved drinking. But when it came time to spending time with my kids or going to the conferences that they have for school for their grades and all that stuff, I wouldn't go.
Mm.
I mean, because I just, like I said, I was selfish,
Mm.
thinking that it was all me. But I did not. know where my life was going. I was just living it. And I lost a son in 2012 to a brain tumor. And we were in Minneapolis for 4 months, and just watching him fade away from me right by his bedside. I mean, I thought I was like I said, these were things I couldn't never talk about. This, my son, my older brother, but now that I've been on a healing journey, it's I'm able to share these things. And these were kind of reasons why I used that I used as an excuse to use. But my son passed away. I mean, it was the toughest thing. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody. I mean, not even my worst enemy. But it's life changing. It hurts you in so many ways, and I mean, I could sit here and say that it doesn't. I mean, that I dealt with it, but I haven't. I mean, there are days he still comes up and pops into my head, but I mean, I got the tools necessary to deal with it now, though. I mean, that I developed through this program. So, like I said, I thought there was, I mean, why I was so hurt, because when my son passed away, I mean, I almost lost it. And like I said, I was good at hiding my feelings, so I just kept it in. And do what I do best. I stayed sober for that year. I mean, out of respect as his dad and stuff, but as soon as that year was up, boom, I was off to the races again. I did what I did best. But not only this time, I felt I was starting to feel the weight of all this chaos and stuff, that was all these traumas that was happening in my life. And alcohol wasn't doing the trick anymore, and I was getting mean. I mean, I was to that point where I wanted everybody to feel how I felt. So whether that be fighting with you or just talking shit to you, you know, I mean, I was mean. I was getting mean, and I didn't care. And not only that, I mean, I tried not to take any of this home. I mean, I was always that guy that would, like I said, I would just up and leave and go drink and enjoy myself for weeks at a time. And I would never take it home. But at the end of my drinking, I would go home drunk, thinking that, oh yeah, I'm coming home now, so everything would be good, should be good, you know. But that was just the end of my drinking, and always that time, I would end up in jail. And I used to blame them for it. Why you guys are throwing me in jail? Because why? Just let me go to sleep, you know. But it would always turn into an argument, and I would blame them for it. Like I said, it was so, I was so selfish and hurtful, and I blamed everybody. Like I said, for everybody how I was. But that was actually 13 months after that, my oldest brother passed away. One of my cousins came and told me, he said, I was working, and me and my buddy, he said, I think Juan stopped breathing. And I'm like, what? So we drove over there, and we were the first ones there, and one of my cousins was there, and he said, what should I do? I said, start CPR. And he I don't know how. So I was like, move, I will. So when he moved and I see my brother, I knew he was gone already. I mean, he was all blue from the stomach up, and I knew he was gone. But still, I started CPRing him, and it hurt, because I did CPR on him till I told my buddy, go get help, and it took the ambulance 25, almost 30 minutes for them to get to where we were at. But that whole time I was there, me and my dad, or I was doing CPR on him, and my dad came, and we started doing CPR on him, and we were doing what we can. But within that time we were there, his kids, my sisters, my mom, everybody started showing up, and they're like, do something, save him. And I was trying. And just just doing all that, I felt like I failed. I couldn't even save my own brother. Because after that, it wasn't at that moment, but when everything was over, that's when it all kicked in, because my mom was so hurt by it, and she's the one that told me. She said, "You make a decision," because they needed to know what to do, and I told them just to stop, because, like I said, I already knew he was dead when I seen him, but for another probably because we did it for 25, 30 minutes, and then they did it for about another 10, about another 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. So about 15 minutes we did CPR on him, and when the ambulance got there, they were trying to find a pulse so they could hit him with one of them pins or whatever, but they couldn't. So they told us, "What do you want us to do?" So I told them, just let him go. And it wasn't easy for me to make that decision either, because when I sat there and looked around, I was like, damn, man, I mean, I knew he was gone, but like I said, when everybody left, I was like, shit, man. I mean, I'm that kind of alcoholic that likes to blame himself for everything. I mean, like I said, I blame myself for my aunt's death, and that was something that I carried around for 24, 25 years. And again, with my son, I mean, I was using prayer. I was begging God to take me instead of my son when it doesn't work like that.
Mm.
And then with my brother, I was hurt because I couldn't save my own brother, and I carried all these things with me. Three major tragic events that really happened in my life, and those were the three. But I mean, that doesn't include all the stuff that I did while I was drinking. I mean, busting through the ice in my car, 4 car wrecks. I mean, like I said, I did it all, and it's just kind of, I'm just surprised I'm still here, you know. But after that, I got messed up in meth. I told myself I would, because my brother died from a massive heart attack due to high doses of meth.
Oh, okay.
And I told myself I would never touch the stuff again. And like I said, I had my fair share with cocaine, pills, meth. I mean, I mean, when it was there, I did it. So after my brother passed away, I wasn't going to do meth again, right? But that wasn't the case. That was the thing I turned to most, was meth. I mean, I started doing meth, and pretty soon I found myself. I mean, I was always smoking it. You know, pretty soon I went into the basement of where I lived, and my ex and her mom were diabetic.
Mm.
So they got these remember, they got syringes back in the day.
Yeah.
And here I went in the basement. They had this big chest on there. Boom! I opened it. Holy, the whole thing was all full of syringes. I'm like, damn. And they didn't know I found it, but I found it, and I started taking them, and I was selling them, and I was using them, and I thought because I was using a clean needle every damn time, it was okay, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how it was for me, and I don't like to point fingers and blame people for why I started doing drugs the way I did, because I mean, when it all comes down to it, it's all me. I'm the one that made those choices to do all that. But I started to use meth a lot. I mean, I was selling it. I didn't think I was hurting anybody, and like I said, everything that comes with the drug world, I've experienced it. I mean, I was jumped over drugs. I was beat up over drugs. But did that stop me? Hell no. I mean, I thought that made me a man, because if I could get all this and still be walking,
Mm-hmm.
that was just how I was. I mean, I was that kind of person that if I wanted something, I would get it. So I started doing drugs really bad after my brother passed away, and a good friend of mine. I mean, it was it was easy to come by then. So I was all over just doing what I do. But it started causing a problem in my family. Um, they found out I was using drugs. They found out I was shooting up, and I couldn't lie anymore. I mean, well, so I mean, what the hell are you gonna do about it? Right away, I got defensive about it. I mean, you couldn't do shit about it. I
Mm.
mean, just it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried treatment one more time, and yeah, this time I took it serious. And this was the last time. This is when I was there with my buddy that shared about a month ago, and I took it serious, and I did the deal. And when it came to graduation, to getting my medallion and my little feather and the cowhide and all that shit, I mean, I did all that. But here's the thing: I invited my mom and my dad and my ex to come up and share dinner with us and all that, and here they never showed up.
Mm.
So what did I do after that? I mean, I was like, well, they don't give a shit that I'm trying to sober up. I mean, right away, I started feeling sorry for myself. I mean, that was one thing. That's one thing I was good at, was drowning in my own self pity. I mean, I
Mm.
was really good at blaming myself for how my life was and why it was the way it was. But after that, I left and I came out chemical prevention. You either go right back to South Dakota or you go left to 48. What did I do? I went straight to the liquor store. I graduated. When I graduated from treatment, shit, I graduated with 2 half-gallons of cherry flavored vodka. Damn. And I blame my mom, my dad, and my ex for that. Oh yeah, because you guys didn't come and support me.
Mm.
You guys are the reason why I'm drunk. But by the time I got home, shit, I almost had one of those done, and I was pissed. And little did I know when I got back, I was like, all right, well, deal with me. Go ahead, deal with me. What's that gonna do? I mean, I still got these. So, like I said, I left. I just got drunk, and like I said, that's how. And up to that point, treatment don't work. Nothing doesn't work. I mean, I'm up to this point. This is my life. So we moved to Newtown to get away and start over, start fresh, because by this time everything was falling apart with my family, and I knew I needed help. I'm that kind of guy that doesn't like to reach out for help or ask for help. I mean, I could do this on my own. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it on my own.
Mm.
So yeah, we moved to Newtown, and that was only the beginning to a really to a really to a really grateful ending, I should say, or a really grateful life that I live today. Because there I was introduced to some Mexicans. I got into meth really really bad, and I started selling it. I was coming back from Newtown to Standing Rock every other day.
Mm.
But by this time, I mean, I thought having that kind of title as a so-called drug dealer was everything I ever wanted. Honestly, I mean, I always told myself I ever run into the perfect connect. I mean, shit, hell with everybody. But even though I had the drugs and the money and everything that I ever wanted, it didn't change who I was. I was I was so. I mean, there was times I would sit there and I would think about it. I mean, why am I even here?
Mm.
And I would hit myself with the strongest hit I can make, and just to get a really awesome high, just enhance my tolerance level. So I was really strung out, and I like I said, I still denied everything that I was doing, and I got picked up. I remember the day, September 12th, 2018. I was picked up by the FBI right there in Bullhead, South Dakota. BIA pulled up, four strong, four units, a couple federal bureau cars, and AKs come running up to the door. And I'm like, yeah, this is badass, you know. Fuck, at least I'm going down. I'm not going down like Dusty Dubs, you know. But it was only the beginning because I thought it was really, really some that, like I said, I built a really strong character up to that point. I was making money and all for the wrong reasons. And I wasn't aware of the people that I was hurting. I wasn't aware of anything that I was doing. I was so clouded by my own judgment and what I was doing. I mean, believe me, I thought I was a good dad. I thought I was everything, but it was far from that. So that was just the beginning for me. I mean, that's where my recovery started. I got locked up. I was looking at 10 to life. I was picked up on a federal indictment for possession with intent to distribute methamphetamines and cocaine, heroin, perk 30s, and ecstasy. So it wasn't no small timer stuff, you know. And like I said, I thought that was good because at least, like I said, at least I'm not going to jail with no pill charge, you know. And for a long time, I was really ego boosted through all that because then they sent me to rugby. I sat in rugby for 10 months. But halfway through that, like 5 months in, I started reading my paperwork because I was preparing for prison. Like it was federal time, so I was really sitting there doing the math. I mean, I could do 6 years, 65% of my time. I mean, by then I'll get all tattooed up, get buff, you know, come back 10 times stronger. That was my mentality. But one thing that really hurt me was being away from my kids. I mean, I was always close to my kids. I mean, like I said, I did it for all the wrong reasons then, but it really hurt whenever whenever I knew I was going to be away from them for that long. And my daughter was pregnant whenever I got to rugby, and she had to deal with that all on her own. I mean, she went through that, her and her mom. I wasn't there, but like I said, all this stuff that I went through, it just, I don't know, it made me really, it hurt me, but at the same time, I used it as fuel to better myself. Because the only way I could see my family again or a chance of any kind of release is if I went to treatment or pretrial. So I came back to Standing Rock Chemical Prevention, and I did an eval, and they ordered treatment eval. So I reached out to PRC and got the ball rolling. That's where I got into treatment. PRC January 23rd. And at this time too, within this process, I mean, right then up to that point too, my grandma passed away. And I was really close to my grandma. She was my neighbor. And again, like I said, because I wasn't there, I mean, if I was there, would she still be alive? You know, I mean, if I was there to help her when she needed help, I mean, would she still be there? And I blame myself for, again. So whenever I got into treatment, they allowed me to go home. So when I came out, my ex and my kids were all sitting there, and I'm like, "What are you guys doing here?" And it's like, they said you can come home for your grandma's funeral. So I was like, "Oh, really? Okay." And I was unsure. So right away, I reached out to my attorney and I was like, "Can I go home?" And he's like, "Yeah, you check yourself in Monday." So I was like, "All right." So I went home. I paid my respects, and as usual, like I said, I blame myself, and I was so mad. And And I was there. I was on federal release, so I couldn't drink. I couldn't use drugs. I was on strict release. But after I buried my mom, I went home and I sat there and just kind of thought about it. And right after I buried my grandma too, I sat by her grave and I cried for a whole hour. I mean, I helped. I mean, I prayed and I asked her to help me. I said, I'm going to go to treatment. I mean, kind of just guide me. And I was praying. And like I said, for all the wrong reasons again, because I went home and I seen all my buddies going to this house where I live. And I was sitting there and I was like, shit, I'm gonna go over there and check it out. Stay home, stay here. I'm like, fuck that, you ain't the boss of me. I'm gonna go over there. Well, excuse me, cousin. But they try to make me stay home, but I said, no, I mean, I'm gonna go check it out. I'll be right back. So I went over there and they were sitting there and they were all blasting, shooting up. I just had meth going around there and they threw some at me and I'm like, nah, I gotta go to treatment Monday, man. I mean, I'll show up in a drug test if I do. So yeah, no, I'm good. And here they pulled up Jack Daniels up a half a gallon. Holy shit. Powerless. Sun was shining right on it. Nice and gold. I was like, damn, I'll take some shots of that though. Cause I had it all mapped out already. I'm an alcoholic. So I was like, shit, I drink this, I drink now, go to bed by 10, 8 hours, it'll be out of my system, tough it out all day, go to treatment, I should be all right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I drank. And here, right where, I mean, like I said, I was that kind of alcoholic that like I said, I wanted everybody to feel how I felt. So up to that point, nobody gave a shit, even though I was helping everybody. And when I was out of jail, I was doing this. I was the hand that fed everybody. Nobody didn't give a shit when I got locked up. So the minute I got drunk, all that started to come up. I was like, damn, I mean, you guys ain't nobody. I mean, nobody's. I got mad. I got upset. And I got upset, mad and upset at the wrong people. My mom, my dad, my sister.
Mm.
And here we were going. We went to Perry Nights, bought a Traveler and another quart, and we went into Perry Nights, try out $50, and we left. And here we got pulled over. And the cop came up to the window on the driver's side. I was on the passenger side. They said, "Is Mr. Whitey in here? Ansel Whitey Jr." And I was like, "I'm right here. Are you drinking?" And I said, "No, I had a couple of shots." "Well, can you get out of the car?" And I'm like, "Why?" So he came around on my side, and what I do, I locked the door. Boom, I opened up. Started chugging that Traveler down. I was like, shit, if I'm gonna go to jail, I'm gonna make it worth it. But I was on federal conditions. So I slammed it and they unlocked the door and they let the cop pull it open and he pulled that bottle out of my hand. I'm like, all right, well, let's go. So they took me to jail. And like I said, I mean, everything that I was saying, crying at my grandma's grave and asking her prayers and all this to help me and this and that, and that was my moment of clarity right there. That after the day after that's why my sobriety day is on 1/26/20. That's the next day after my grandma passed away. I mean, after we buried my grandma, and that's my sobriety date. And that's something that, as long as I'm doing the thing, I'm gonna protect that date as much as possible. And it was really something that I needed as a person, because then when I went to jail, 28, 29 days it took me to come off alcohol and drugs. I was sweating, I was crying, I was so hurt. I went through it all.
Mm-hmm.
The come downs were real, and for me they were real because I mean I had to push through all that. Even though there was times I felt like just throwing myself over that balcony, but I couldn't. I mean, then I started thinking, how selfish would I be if I did all that? I mean, my kids, I got kids. I mean, all this. I started really thinking about where my life was going. So I called the PRC and they still had my bed for me. But when I went to court, the judge told me, he said, "You what happened?" He said, you failed to comply with the conditions of your release." And I told him what happened. Everything that I just shared with you, that's what I told the judge. And he was like, "Well, I appreciate your honesty, but here's what I'm gonna do." He said, "I'm gonna pull your treatment status, and you're gonna maybe sit a few more months to think about what you did."
Mm.
So I was like, because my bed was still there, and I was like, "Oh man, I mean, shit, if the courts even cared, why are you keeping me from going to treatment?" I mean, but it wasn't. It was a lesson for me because I knew I couldn't mess with the courts then after that, manipulate them or try to BS them in any way. But I needed that too because after that I started working out again, and I started getting headstrong. I mean, I started praying, really praying, actually praying. I mean, I started to do it every morning, and really, because at this point I was looking at jail. I mean, I knew I was going to go to jail, and that's all it was that I thought about that point. But I got to go to treatment, so I went to treatment. How much time do I have left?
No, it's
Oh,
you.
okay.
This is your
All right.
time.
All right. So yeah, I got to go to treatment on May 24th, later on that same year. They had a bed for me, and I connected with my attorney, and they said, "Well, I'm sure." He said, "You've been in there for over 4 months." He said, "Just give it a couple months." And yeah, they granted me to go to treatment again. So I got to go to treatment under somebody come from treatment to pick me up. That was the only way they let me. So yeah, somebody had to come get me this time, and I did make it. But there was always this last thought of me. I mean, I told myself if I got out again, I was gonna put my family through one last heartache, one last time. I was gonna run,
Mm.
and the only way I wasn't going back. The only way they were gonna catch me is in a box. They were gonna put me in a box. I was gonna die by suicide, or the cops were gonna shoot me, or whatever. That's how I wanted to go out, and that was the thought that I had. So, but when I got out, I was up in Partial, so I was a long way from home. Couldn't call nobody, couldn't do nothing, and I was kind of up in the air at that point. I had the chance to call home and talk with my kids, and I did feel better. And then I met the guy up there. I mean, you might know him. I met Big Man,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and he he was the director there at the time, and he would always talk to me, and yeah, I would sit there and act like I'm listening, but he would come to work every morning, and happier than hell, just glowing and happy, and I'm like, there's no way in hell this guy could be happy every damn day. But I wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, after I started, I was like, well, maybe this ain't so bad. It's treatment, so I might as well just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I started. I mean, he carried the message to me exactly the way I needed to hear it. That's what I grabbed onto with him. I mean, it was a life changing moment for me, because at first I thought he was so full of shit, everything he was saying, but everything he was saying was exactly who I was,
Mm-hmm.
and what I was doing with my life too also. So the more I started sitting there and just listening to him, he took us through the first 164, and if I mean, if you guys ever get the opportunity to do a book study with him, I strongly suggest anybody out there listening that you guys get involved. Anybody that's seeking recovery, he has a really good, how how should I say it? His book study is it's real, and he carries a good message. So yeah, there I went to treatment, I completed, and I'm like, yeah, shit, I gotta go home. I mean, that sounds so bad, but it came time to leave, and again started getting scared. I was trying to stay because they said, well, what's next? Sober living. They said sober living there, and I'm like, shit, I don't want to go to sober living. I want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew if I went home though, it was the end for me because it wasn't an option for me when I was, and at that point I wasn't strong enough. So if I went home, shit, I would have just did what I do best. But I made the choice for myself to, because I was tired of living the way I was living. I was tired of how my life was, and not only that, I mean, I burned all my bridges there. I mean, nobody cared. I mean, I like to say that I was a lovable guy, but I wasn't. And anyways, big man, he said if I help get you into sober living in Bismarck, would you go? And I'm like, and right away my mind started going again. Shit, that's one step closer. I mean, at least if I get to Bismarck, I'm closer to home. I mean, I could take off then, you know.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, let's do this. So before I left, I asked Big Man if you'll be my sponsor, and he's like, yeah, because he said Big Man always told me all through this process too. He said, give us a year time. He said, you do the work. He said, I guarantee your life will change. And the only thing that I hung on to out of that whole sentence was the guarantee. And I'm like, all right. And even at that point, I wasn't all in yet. I was still iffy about all this. So I asked him to be my sponsor, and then like a week before I was gonna leave, he said, like, I think you should have a sponsor down there. I have a sponsor for you. I mean, I have somebody lined up that could probably help you.
Mm.
So I was like, all right. So he pushed me off to Justin B, my sponsor. But these guys put up with me, and they helped me in so many ways. I mean, I know they're just giving back what was so freely given to them, but they because I mean, everybody likes to say this, they had trust issues, but I didn't trust anybody up to this point, nor did I mean have any want to have any kind of deep connections with a man, you know. I mean,
Mm.
why am I going to be telling somebody about all this stuff about my life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I was mad because Big Man pushed me off, and he didn't want to be my sponsor. And I went to somebody that was, because he was up to that point, he's already planted the seed, and the guarantee was there. I told you.
Yep.
So I came here to Bismarck, and I got into. I mean, I applied for sober living with Hope Manor.
Mm-hmm.
I talked with Megan. She's one of the representatives for Hope Manor, and she's like, maybe a couple weeks we'll have a bed for you. And I'm like, shit, I gotta wait for a couple more weeks. So I told her, I said, I mean, so what do you want me to do? Should I go home or come back up? And she said, no. She said, if you can, she said, talk to Big Man and see if you could stay there for a couple more weeks, or until a bed opens for you, because I don't want to lose you. She said, if you go home, she said, I know I'm never going to see you.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really, because this person didn't even know me. I just thought it was rude for her to be, but I knew that exactly too. What she said, that was true. But like I said, I like to justify things and say, oh shit, she's already judging me, you know.
Mm.
But it wasn't like that. It was. So I asked Big Man and the PRC crew if I could stay there for a little while longer, a couple more weeks, and they allowed me to.
Good.
So I got into treatment. I mean, I got into sober living here, and they bring me down. And when they bring me down, I was like, shit, man. I mean, I did my interview, and then it was a 9-month commitment, and I'm like, shit, what did I get myself into, you know? So I can't. I mean, it's a long time, you know. I mean, 9 months, but all right. Well, what do I got to lose anyway? I mean, at this point, I was going through a federal indictment too, so I got there, and then, like I said, the big man pushed me out to Justin B. So he was my sponsor, and at the beginning, I was really I didn't know if any of this was even possible for me, an alcoholic like me. I mean, and not in this lifetime did I ever think sobriety was even an option for me, because like I said, I was full of disappointments. I mean, all through my life, I had numerous times to do good in my life. I mean, I had the opportunity to go to college. I got a year and a half of college in, but I dropped. I mean, due to a big fight that I ended up in federal court with back in 2010 too, I had to drop out. I mean, I had to withdraw from my classes, so I never went back for that. But I had the opportunity to go to the service, and right before my I went to MEPS in Sioux Falls. I had this big party. Shit, did it all, drugs, everything. And here, when I went down there, they tested me. I thought I was in because I did all the stuff, but they tested me, and here I was still hot. I was still buzzed, and they told me to come back in 2 weeks. I never did. I just let it go. But like I said, I worked all my life for one. But back to Hope Manor. I got here, and the first week I was there, I slept with one eye open. I mean, shit, I was the only Indian in there. That's how I felt. I was the only native in the house with 15 other guys, Washichus, and I really felt out of place. Like I said, I was like, what the hell did I get myself into here? So that first week I was there, I was thrown right into recovery. I mean, I had to get a home group. I had to listen to 18 CDs. I had to get a sponsor. I had to get a job. I had to do this all in the first 2 weeks. And I didn't think it was possible because I didn't have an ID. I was using all these excuses to just not do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to this Indie Pop conference when I first got here, and again, when I got there was probably about 200 people there, young people, and I'm sitting there like, damn. I mean, look at, I mean, all everywhere I looked, it was everybody was it was a conference, so everybody was happy, and I was the only one sitting there, so out of place, just thinking, what the hell am I doing here? What did I mean, what's my purpose here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about that sober living house was they loved me until I could love myself again. I mean, I was so, like I said, I didn't trust anybody. My guards were up all the time. I didn't care about anybody else. But they helped me so much to start regaining that self-confidence and that self-esteem back. And that's why Sit ND is my home group, because it was a young people's conference, and I see all these young guys, and I'm like, they're 20 years old, and I'm like, damn. I mean, if all these guys could do it, I mean, why can't I? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was still sitting there. Then one of the guys came and said, "Come play volleyball." And that's one thing I'm good at. I'm good at sports. So and I like to keep that on the low. So it's because when the people like to challenge me, and they sit there and kind
Yeah.
of just look at me.
Man, and you can't.
Yeah, I still got it. But yeah. So I'm full of surprises with sports. But yeah. So ended up with volleyball, and pretty soon I was getting along with everybody, and I started to. That first month was probably like the first 3 months of my recovery was the worst, because I was still, like I said, I didn't want to do the work. I was that guy that was mad dogging everybody in the room. I mean, if you look at me wrong, I was like, shit, I'll catch this guy after the meeting, you know.
Nice.
Those are still my thoughts.
Yeah.
But as time went by, I found it because I had a commitment in a home group. I was the birthday guy. So that's giving them a chip and giving them a hug. which was good for me because I love giving hugs, you know. But that's kind of where it all started for me. I started to open up and interact with people again, and started just trusting the process. And going through the 12 steps with my sponsor, like I said, was really big for me. Surrendering to a power greater than myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had that chance to reconnect with my higher power, and early on when I got to Hope Manor, I went to church up here, and when I went into that church, I could feel the energy. I was just like, oh man, what am I doing here? And I was invited with one of my friends, and he kind of made me aware. He said, well, when you come in here, bro, it's going to be different. And I was like, shit, I've been to church before, but it was different. So when I was there though, I had that because I mean, I thought it was the right thing to do right then and there. I prayed for God for forgiveness because for breaking into his house, like I said, for breaking into his house and stealing his goods and all that stuff. But within that process, while I was sitting there, I mean, I started crying in front of maybe hundreds of people that I don't even know.
Mm.
But like I said, I could feel that energy, and that's how I knew there was something real, you know. I mean, the invisible man, you know. I mean, it was big for me, but it all started with prayer for me and the fellowship. And the more I started to apply myself to the program, things started shifting. I mean, I used to be full of anger, full of fear, and just hate. I mean, I was mean. But the biggest thing for me was the changes in attitudes and behaviors because
Yep.
I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. And this program has changed my life dramatically. I I came here with just the clothes on my back, and I I work. I work. I pay my own bills. I have my own apartment here in Bismarck, and it's just things that I thought I would never be doing in my life. Um, I work at Good Road Recovery Center. Uh, Life has changed so much for me in this past couple years. In this past 31 months I've been sober. I mean, I go home from time to time and I see how everything is. Nothing's changed. And it's just with me out with me not being in the picture, you know. I mean, I could sit there and when I go see my brothers down there, I mean, they're all still in active addiction. And I know what that life is about. I've been there, I lived it, been there, done that. And I guess for everybody, I mean, I used to be the worst one. I heard it more than once. I was the worst one. I mean, if I could do it, anybody could, you know. But I don't think of it that way. I don't pretend to be somebody who I'm not. I mean, my past and my pain and trauma has made me who I am today. And that's I don't forget where I came from. But to everybody that is listening or struggling with alcohol and drugs, I mean, there is hope. I mean, I know a lot of family and friends down there in Stony Rock. I mean, I know a lot of you guys, and if you guys know, if any of you knew me at all, you guys knew the kind of person I was, who I was, what I was. But today I'm 31 months sober, and God has done things for me that I could not have done for myself. And there are days that I still tend to try to take the credit, but my sponsor, my grand sponsor, always remind me. I mean, where is God in all this?
Mm-hmm.
Because with all honesty, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for him. And like like my like my sponsor would always say, God is either everything or he isn't. And for me today, God is everything. And there is hope. And if you guys want recovery or want to reach out for recovery, I mean, I'm here. You guys can reach out to me. If you guys want to sponsor, I can sponsor. I sponsor guys too. I mean, that first step is the toughest step, but
Yep.
this is a life worth living for. I mean, you do the work, it'll change your life. Like I said, there was a guarantee in that experience, and that's exactly what it was for me. And I'm living proof of that. And I am going to continue to trust God and clean house and help others until the day I die, because that's the only way that it helps me stay sober. And it's given me so much back. And this is only the beginning for me. But life is good. And with that, I'll pass.
All right. Well, thank you. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I mean, you've been through a lot of stuff, and I don't even. I mean, I'm glad that you're here and you're alive. Like, that's, the biggest blessing I think all of us can have is, having people that have been through all of this and still are alive, and they're for your family, not even just for, the rest of us out here in the world, but for your family, for yourself. You get to wake up every day and take a breath and go to sleep at night and rest your eyes and wake up again the next day. And every day is a decision, for a lot of people. And yeah, I know. I mean, I know your sponsors and your grand sponsors, so they're tough guys, and
Mm-hmm.
that's probably what you needed, like you said.
Yeah.
It really,
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, you know, I've seen some of it, and it's kind of like call people on the bullshit. That's really what it is, part of it. But
Yep.
because there's a lot of that, and it's, I guess, in my experience, it's expected, but
Yep.
the hardest part too, for families or for even the individual that's experiencing that is being called out on their bullshit, and
Yep.
unfortunately, a little bit of self-disclosure, like my daughter goes through stuff as well with one of her parents, and it's really tough. It's tough to see things on that side, you know what I mean? And our
Mm-hmm.
this side of parenting, and just wanting that parent back in her life in a good way, but then seeing that, there's fathers out there that are doing it. There's lots of fathers out there that are doing it, and and sharing your story, I think, hope will encourage other men, to know
Yep.
it's not a weakness. It's not a weakness to, you know, admit your truths, or be honest, or, get help. And you're like so like dead on when you're talking about, um, everything is everybody else's fault. And
Mm-hmm.
coming to realization, like it's not everybody else's fault, and it's accepting that, having that, how do you say, like, just accepting, or accepting responsibility, you know
Accountability. Yep.
ability, and that's important. And then and that's part of the healing journey, and
Mm-hmm.
healing for everybody, you know it, even the individual that's going through the process, but it's also healing for the family, or for the loved ones that surround that person too. And then being accountable, for our place in things too, as that
Yep.
family member, or what I mean, like that's really important too, because I think a lot of times, a lot of blame is placed on the individual without understanding, like, okay, what is our role in this? We can't just sit and point fingers and be bashing and this and that and this and that, if we want to be a support system for this purpose, or for this person, what's our role in this? And what's I always like to talk about, the fine line between enabling and support, because it's a very fine line, and you can kind of teeter on that line, you know, and not really know. And so, but learning that, you know, the outside support system's responsibility too, you know, and I think that's really important. But holy cow, like I didn't know that this was a story, you know, you know, that you carry every day. Like that's it's pretty amazing. I'm grateful that you're here. And um yeah, I don't even know, I'm kind of speechless, I guess, at this point. Sometimes I like questions, like you'll see me looking down and I'm writing, you know, because I'm like, man, I want to come back to that, I want to, you know, and I want to ask a question or whatever, but I'm like, holy, just answered all my questions, so I don't even have any questions anymore. So
Well, one thing I like to point out too is that growing up as a man too, I mean, I was taught to just be tough, you know. I mean, with that's why I mean, I think the emotional part was really big for me. I mean, I still kind of, I'm not going to say I really struggle with it, but when it does crop up nowadays, I mean, I'm able to deal with it in a more positive manner because I, like I said, I developed these tools to deal with everyday life now, you know. And it's just a simple prayer is to take a step back and just give it to God, you know, how I'm feeling, those emotions, and ask him to and give it to him because I couldn't have done that before at all. I mean, before I would just, I'm the guy that, like I said, would take things into my own hands and being a protector of my family. I thought hurting people and sticking up for my family was what it's all about, you know, as long as nobody's not hurting my family or and shit, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just how I was raised, you know. I mean, why I thought I mean, I wasn't raised that way, but it just all came with my addiction and the role that and the role that I played in my family. So it was like I said, the changes in attitudes and behavior was the biggest one for me because I still tend to character defects, you know. It's just they're still there. I just they just need a little bit more working on them.
yeah.
But I don't let them get the best of me and take over my life the way they used to.
Right. And
So
that's an ongoing thing, to be honest with you. That's life. That's being a human, you know. And we're always gonna have flaws and defects. It's just how do we move forward and do things in the best way, you know, in a good way, and you know, and that's you know, the important thing, you know.
yeah, a different reaction. You know, my
Yeah.
reaction is not the same as it used to be 3 years ago.
Right.
Just
And
put it that way.
I like that you mentioned that, because that's another really big thing that we talk about too, is seeing that behavior change, and that's really important, because and no, this is the thing, like I always get stuck on that, because when I'm working with, you know, clients, or when I used to work with clients, people be like, I went to treatment 17 times and it didn't fix me, and it's like, treatment is not fix you, you know, or family members, you know, or friends, you know, they say they go to court and they're in there and they're like, I went there already and it didn't fix me, and or my so and so went there and it didn't fix them. The treatment program, the building, the people that are there, the material, it's not going to fix somebody. It's
Yeah.
the tools, you know, paying attention and learning those tools and then putting them into practice, you know, especially with sober living. That's the best opportunity to really put that stuff into practice, and it's a behavior change, you know, like you know, you, let's just say, you know, something would trigger you, and then you would go off by, you know, blasting somebody out and cussing them out or whatever, and it's like, okay, what are you going to do the next time? You know, how are you going to change that behavior?
Yep.
You're going to shout profanities across the street, you know, at so and so because they looked at you funny, right? You know, or
Yeah.
are you just going to kind of be like, all right, and accept and just keep walking or whatever, you know? And so that's the things that matters, those behavior changes, and turning it into a practice, right? And like,
Yeah.
then I mean, then it just becomes you. It just, you absorb that practice into yourself and your being, and then that's just, you know. So I kind of, I mean, and it's part of the education process too, you know, and then always taking that opportunity to help people understand that, you know, treatment itself isn't going to just fix somebody. That's not how it works. So, but I like that you brought that up, you know, your behavior change,
Yep.
all of that. And it's crazy because, you know, I go home all the time, and I'm from real God's country. I'm from Lily Gull, running Antelope. So kidding.
Bigfoot country.
Other valley. Yeah, Bigfoot country.
Yeah.
That's okay. But it's really beautiful, you know, and I love home. It's man, I love being there. And when I you know, drive in and you see this big open valley, right? And the hills and the butte, and you know, and but then when you come into town or the community, you're like, holy man, this is not the same. You know, it's sad. It makes me sad when I come into McLaughlin. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I come into McLaughlin, when I come into Lilico, like these are the places that I grew up, and it's sad. I see people that are my age, that I was friends with, you know, all my life growing up, and you can't recognize them, you know, and
Yeah, I have a brother down there that, yep.
it makes
I
me
have a
really,
brother that, go ahead.
it makes me sad because it's just like, these are people that you know, you had a relationship with, you're friends with, and you know, and you know that, you know, their potential, and you know, like the road, you know, when we were younger, like that they had ahead of them, you know, and then you just see, you know, the how things have went the other way, or losing friends, you know, even at my age, losing a lot of friends growing up. Oh, I'm a graduate of 2003, and from McLaughlin. So just kidding. Hey, we kind of have no, but really though, and my junior high years, my high school years, I mean, man, we lost a lot of people. A lot of people, you know, in relation to drugs and alcohol, a lot of people in relation to suicide, you know, accidents, you know, you name it. And like, man, it just seemed like there was just death around us all the time. And, you know, being from these smaller communities, and, you know, kind of growing up in an era where your family, they grew up with, you know, kind of sweep it under the rug, you know, or just kind of like, you need to deal with it, or you know, counseling. I don't know if I'm okay with that, or whatever it may be. And you start to kind of like let this stuff fester internally, and it's, you know, it's not healthy, but you know, a person tries to deal with it the best that they can, but then also not having a lot of resources, you know, in the area, that really hard, you know. And then you just keep seeing a repetitive cycle of, you know, alcohol drug related accidents, suicide, you know, other things. Like, it's just this cycle. And it's like, you know, personally myself, like I could have went down that road myself, you know. And I don't talk about that really ever. I don't really talk about stuff like that, but it's kind of because people think, oh, you know, you grew up in a good family, you know, you guys, you know, you ranchers and da 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 da. It doesn't matter, you know, what kind of family you grew up in. It doesn't matter, because people don't really know our individual stories, right? And what we've all been through. And but you know, I always appreciate everybody's stories, because it's just kind of a reminder to myself, like, okay, you know, this is something where I was at a crossroad too, and you know, contemplating which way, you know, you go hang out here, or you know, something else. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really grateful, you know, because I ended up having a lot of like hunka moms and aunties, you know, and that
Mm-hmm.
really helped. You know, I feel like
Yep.
people into my life at just the right time, just the right time, and I'm so thankful, you know, for those people. And I remember this one time I was actually at a friend's funeral services, and it was a tragic, you know, thing that happened, and just awful, you know. And I sat there, and I went by myself. I sat there, and you know, I saw my future hunka auntie and uncle, and you know, respect. I had a lot of respect for these people because I just saw it in the community and things like that, and so I just sat there and was thinking, and you know, kind of I went up to see, you know, my friend, and then sat back down, and just kind of like in those moments of disbelief, and you're like, holy shit, like now, you know, what do I do, you know, moving forward from here, like all kinds of contemplation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I saw them. I kind of felt a little awkward because I noticed that they kept staring at me. They were talking to themselves, and then they look at me and talking to themselves. And they were sitting in the blue gym, and you know, it's kind of a ways away. But I'm like, why are they staring at me? Oh, you know, did I do something wrong? Like I'm always kind of like conscious, self-conscious of that. So, anyways, here they get up, and they're kind of. I thought maybe they were gonna be walking out the door because I was kind of close to the door, and here they came up to me and they sat down beside me on both sides, and you know, they said, we seen you, you know, and we were over there talking, and you know, we know that you still have your parents, that you still have your mom, you still have your dad. I was a teenager at this time. And they said, you know, because we wouldn't want to take their place because we have good parents, and but we're wondering if you would take us as your auntie and uncle. And I'm like, what, you know? And it was just, I was just like, wow, like these people are taking the time to like come over to me and ask me to be. I thought it was more like being a part of their lives, you know, but they were a part of my life. I guess it's kind of the same, but you know, just kind of like that one way thinking. And I was like, wow, really? Really? You know, it's in disbelief. You want me? Hey, you know, and so um like I feel like at that point in time, that was just kind of like a turning point, like at that point in time
Mm-hmm.
in my life. And I was like, wow, okay, like there's people out there that think about me. Like there's people out there that care. And not saying that nothing, you know, with my parents, it's just, you know, they had their own lives too. They had, you know, their, their, their lives. And I was the youngest at that time and just kind of stuck in the middle of stuff. And that's just things that happen. So, but I went home and I felt so good about myself. You know, I just felt different. And I kid you not, I really think that kind of helped save my own life. You know what I mean? Because there was things, you know, that I would be contemplating and this and that, and I just think it was just perfect timing. And so, yeah, I feel like I was really blessed in that way. But you know, again, growing up in that time, that era, like just was so much. It was so much, and losing people, and you know, I could have had that same excuse. Well, you know, I so and so passed away, or so and so did this and this, and you know, this is why I do this. But I don't know, something else. I mean, it took me down a different way, and I'm not perfect. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm not perfect. You know, I've been in college.
Yeah, yeah, I used to always think too, whenever like at the beginning of my recovery, because the whole point of the program was to help you reconnect with the higher power and find God. But for me, I was like, if there was really a God, why the hell did he put me all through all this in my life, you know? Why did
Right.
he do all this to me? And like it like like it was, I mean, being accountable for everything and seeing the role and part that I played in my life, which was all me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, it was easy for me to blame everybody, but when I really did an inventory and seeing how selfish I was with everything that I wrote down, I mean, that's when everything changed for me because I was able to accept it
Yeah.
and realize that it wasn't my fault. I was playing God the whole damn time. I was trying to think, like I said, control everything and thinking that I could predict the outcome
Right.
when all that time I was only playing God,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that I knew it all, you know.
I mean, I think that's just, I mean, that's part of our human experience until we kind of have that um, awakening, or however you want to say that, that
Yeah,
kind of self actualization where it's like, no, we're in control to a point, but but when we give things back to God and we give things to Creator, that we can't handle, we can do better. We
yep.
can live a better life that way, and I've learned that a lot, and I'm really grateful because I've actually learned that from a lot of people that have I've you know gratefully, humbly, been a part of their life, you know
Yeah.
and it's
And
true.
that's kind of how, like what you said too, when you go back, that's kind of the same spirit experience with me too, because like I said, when I came in, because my family fell apart the way it did, I used to really, I was so furious on what my life was going to be like, because yeah, I worked a program, but let's say I ran into this person that, I mean, I used to really blame,
Mm-hmm.
but through this program, and when we, like I said, when I did my 4 step, there was a reason why I felt this way, and the only way I could move past it was to find out what it was.
Yeah.
And by doing that, everything shifted, because like I said, I was full of anger, full of fear, but that all shifted into forgiveness. And when I was able to humbly forgive him, things really started to change. And I just didn't do that with him. I did that with a lot of people. And it's just, it's an experience. It's really an awesome experience that I get to experience I mean, these days, because when I go home, like I said, my brothers and stuff, they're still all in active addiction. And I did try to help them a few times, but I mean, they gotta want it. I mean, I can't make them do any of this.
Right.
But I did try to help them, and I was so frustrated that they couldn't grab onto this. I mean, why can't you guys just get this, you know?
Yeah.
But it's not my place to it's not my place to put that kind of to put that kind of energy on them, you know?
Yeah.
They gotta want this on their own. So when I do go back, like you said, I mean, I do have a brother down there too. That's really, really. I mean, he's younger than me and he's in bad shape. And I pray for him every day that he finds his way. But I also accepted that he may die from this disease, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's a hard thing to live with. But like I said, I do not let that tear me apart the way it used to, because things in life, they everything happens for a reason, and whether it's a blessing or a lesson. I mean, I hear that a lot nowadays, but it's how you deal with things emotionally as a person. I mean, it you could either let it take you down, and like I said, I used to blame everybody for how I was, but it's not about anybody else. It's just how you are as a person, and where you're at. I mean, because healing is not for everybody, you know. It's everybody that wants it, and not everybody is on this path that we're on. So everybody's lives are different.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not my place to pass judgment or take inventories. It's just me to just simply sit back and mind my own damn business, you know? And that's big for me because, like I said, I used to ball. I'll be like, "Oh shit, you talking shit,
Yeah.
huh?" But yeah, it's crazy. So
Right.
yeah, like I said, I get to go back and I have a granddaughter and a grandson that don't ever have to see me drunk or high, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really grateful for because the life I lived, I mean, it was, and yeah, I still carry because my oldest son and stuff. I mean, he likes to party, but I mean that's just his experience, you know. I mean, I for a while there I was blaming myself for how he turned out, and if I was only there as a dad, and like I said, all this healing that I had to do because I blame myself for a lot of things, and that was one of them. Is how my son grew up and just the way he is now, you know. But if I would have pushed him more, he would be a better person, you know. But it's nothing about that. It's just me overthinking the whole damn situation as a person, and the only easiest way was to accept it, you
Hmm.
know. So life comes at you in in all directions these days. But like I said, I don't react to anything that doesn't need a reaction. I mean, it's hard for me to get upset, but it's still there. I overthink situations, and when it's not even close to being what I'm thinking, you know.
Hmm.
But that's just how we are. I mean, I still need a lot of healing, and like I said, and I have to continue to do this if I want to keep my sobriety.
Hmm.
And I'm still young in my sobriety, but it's been a hell of a ride up to this point,
Yeah.
and I love and enjoy every minute of it.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. And no, I'm grateful that I get to run into you every once in a while, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
too this weekend, which is pretty cool, and I'm so grateful that you're available today, and sharing everything that you shared, and even the hard stuff, and trusting me with that, trusting me and trusting our audience with that, because that's really important,
Be
it,
real, man. That's all it is.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I definitely uh, I feel like there's so much more, to talk about, and moving forward. And so, I mean, I'd like to welcome you back. And if you have any other, friends, family members, or acquaintances, other people that would be interested in sharing their story too, like like I said in the beginning, we want to get it out there for people to understand, like, it's okay. It's okay to talk about these things. We don't need to, be in the dark about all this. And it's not something you sweep under the rug. We've had people been dying for this, but we're still having people dying, and wanting to help, the individual that's going through this experience, and then the families that are, the support system. So to help them understand, like, what this person's going through, because it we us sometimes on the outside, and pointing fingers and getting mad and this and that, and I'm guilty of that. I've done that, and I get really frustrated too sometimes with certain individuals, and I'm just like, man, just like how you said, you know wanting somebody to just really get it, and they're not getting it. And 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 so, having individuals come in and share their experience, and everything that you said today was just things that I've actually been thinking about most recently, and I'm like, okay, yep, that was a good reminder for myself to give it to God, right? Give it to Creator, because that's all I can do. So,
Yep.
having you here tonight, that even helped me a lot. So I appreciate that. I thank you very much. And we're all
Well,
human. We're common human beings.
glad,
So, uh,
glad
but
I could be of service.
yeah, and I hope to see you again, and I know I will.
All
And then,
right.
so I like to end our sessions by saying, from my lodge, your lodge, Good night. And again, thank you
Yep.
very much and take care.
Yep. Good night.
All right. We'll see you later. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.